debt limit fight, which in many ways is kabuki theater. It's a manufactured crisis by the Biden administration. I would just call your attention to and try to tie it for you to the ongoing fight about the debt limit, right? So the Republicans in the House passed a piece of legislation related to the debt limit that required, in exchange for increasing the debt limit, which is already, in my view, astronomically large and places the future of our country in peril, with some restrictions and cuts to certain funds that have already been passed or just passed by the Biden gang, namely the $80 billion in extra dollars for the IRS. And based on what at least the New York Times is telling us, McCarthy is going to agree or plans to agree to only $70 billion for the IRS as opposed to $80 billion for the IRS. So this is at the same time the IRS is implicated in protecting Biden in a corrupt fashion along with the Justice Department. And, you know, the Republicans, hapless as they often are going to just not only fund them, but add money to their ability to abuse the American people. You know, so that's the frustrating thing here. And I would suggest, you know, to bring this all together, that in the least, because this debt fight is tied to government corruption, because a lot of the monies that everyone's begging Congress to fund would go to this continued abuse of the American people, either through censorship or the harassing Justice Department investigations of Trump and other innocents, that you call your members of Congress and say, in the least, we need to cut money. I mean, that's the conservative thing to do, and frankly, it's corrupt to spend money you don't have in a way that is guarantees corruption and fraud. But also to tie this debt limit and whatever the outgrowth of that fight is to curtailing abuses by cutting funding of government abuses. Believe me, I've raised this directly with members of Congress, and what they say is, yeah, I agree, but you know, we'll try to do it in the appropriations process. We wanted to do it in a debt limit, but you know, there's probably not enough votes there, and it's just, you know, I get the runaround. And I tell you, if enough people call and make their concerns known, I think they'll take it more seriously. So I encourage you to call Congress and the House of Representatives at 202-225-3121, 202-225-3121. And this debt limit fight, which in many ways is kabuki theater, it's a manufactured crisis by the Biden administration, that if we're going to have a debt limit increase, in addition to doing something fiscally responsible, they should do something that curtail government corruption and stop funding it, make it clear that they don't want to fund it as it relates through the debt limit negotiations, and subsequent to that through appropriations. Because there's urgency here, because right now they're planning to jail Trump. Right now, abusively, they're censoring you with government money. Right now, they're using government money, for instance, to allow people to cross the border as opposed to repel them from the border. So there's a crisis for the rule of law in our constitutional system that is funded by Congress. And do I see a path to defund that? I think there are some options that could be defunded, some of the worst aspects, and DEI and others that Republicans at least want to push in the House. But in terms of the crises facing us with trying to jail the leading presidential candidate or censoring Americans by the millions every day, like right now, I don't see any plan to address that. And I suggest, if you agree, maybe if you don't agree, call anyway. You know, it's a free country. Tell people what you think. But those are my concerns, and if you want to share what your concerns are, as I said, call the Congress at 202-225-3121. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.